All right, we are here with episode 41 of Stone and Clay with my boy, Ty Eastman.
What's up, brother?
We made it.
This is great. This is great.
I was just telling him before, he's the youngest male guest in history.
I'm honored.
And are you 20?
No, 19.
Oh my gosh.
19. I'm a youngin'.
You're like, bro, I can smell your baby breath. Like but it's nice.
Stop.
No, that's great, bro. Yeah, it's cool. We've been homies for a couple years. He's a fellow spikeman.
Of course.
We're 1-0 all time in tournaments together.
It's true. It's great.
You haven't been playing as much lately.
No, it's been sad.
I know. What have you been up to? What have you been doing?
Dude, been sad. Honestly, just living life.
Yeah.
Living life, having a good time. Spontaneous trips to Germany, because why not?
Yeah, totally.
That's a page out of your book, even. Just picking up and leaving for a sec.
Yeah, I've been to Germany. It's nice.
It's beautiful.
What part did you go to?
Frankfurt, Berlin, and Leipzig.
Okay. See, I pretty much just went to Berlin when I went. Saw the wall, saw some museums, had some sauerkraut, whatever.
Of course.
Yeah. Did you do much in Berlin?
Berlin's, it's very industrial.
Yeah, it's very like modern too, and it's
right.
Not like, it's funny because that was the first city I'd ever been to in Europe, and I was like, this is kind of nothing special.
Yeah.
Like it's cool that everyone's speaking German, and they got good hot dogs.
Sure.
but
and the words are 30 characters long for some reason.
Yeah,
every single one of them.
Yeah, and like the Berlin. Did you go to the Berlin Wall?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Berlin Wall is sweet.
But besides that, I wasn't like super overwhelmed. But then I didn't get to go to Frankfurt and stuff. But we went to that trip. At least we went to Poland and Prague, and.
So did you see what's it called? Not Dachauer.
I went to Auschwitz.
Auschwitz.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's actually technically in Poland.
Yeah.
A lot of people think it's in Germany, but it's right on the border in Poland. But yeah, that was pretty crazy.
Wow.
Were you with family or just a homie?
Just friends.
Yeah.
2 friends.
Nice.
Had a medical thing he was going out there for.
Mm-hmm.
Long story, but yeah, we were just mobbing around for 5 days.
Is there anything like a boys' trip?
What do you mean?
Like just the boys?
Oh, for sure. For sure.
Like there's family trips. There's these co-ed friend group trips. There's trips with your girl.
Right.
But then there's a boys' trip.
And there's nothing better.
There really isn't.
Maybe with your girl.
Sure. But it's almost apples and oranges.
Right. You can't compare the two.
It's like, yeah, trip with your girl, it's romantic, it's bonding. But with the boys, I don't know, you're just wild and you're out there.
It's so true.
Yeah. I went to Europe for 3 weeks with 2 buddies of mine. For 3 weeks.
Really?
And we just rented a car and just went everywhere. Like I'll tell you how we planned our trip. We went to a Korean restaurant in Provo. And they had like paper. The tablecloth was paper, and so I said, "Hey, can we get a pen real quick?" And we got out Google Maps, and I was like, "Okay, we're gonna land in Geneva. Let's like go over here." And we just like drew where we kind of wanted to go.
Amazing.
And then that's what we did. Like we would book Airbnbs like the night of, and it was the best way to do it because we saw so much, but we weren't like beholden by our agenda and our plans.
Right. We were the same way. Showing up to the hotel an hour before we booked it.
Yeah.
It was great.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So.
Well, sweet man. Well, tell me, bro. Tell me about the first time you kissed a female.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Because, dude, I was thinking about it the other day. I was like, it's such a wild thing the first time you kiss a girl.
Oh, for
like,
sure.
Even now, like the first time you kiss any girl, it's kind of exciting and it's kind of new and wild, and there's such different energy that first kiss.
Right.
Like even though most kisses are enjoyable and exciting or whatever, that first kiss when you're not sure how it's going to be received, you're not sure what's on the other end of that mouth.
Right.
How old were you?
Dude, that's a great question. I was 16.
Okay.
So
fairly mature.
Oh yeah. That was the dating age, right?
Yeah.
Also funny you asked me this question. My brother had his first kiss 2 days ago.
Really? How old is he?
15. Shout out to my boy.
God bless him. That's great.
So anyways, great timing on that question. But went to a different school.
Mm-hmm.
it's safe. It's safe
Right,
because
right.
you know, same school. There could be some contention there. If it's bad, you tell your friends.
You gotta see them
word
in the
gets
halls
back.
every day.
Right.
Yeah, real quick, I went to a high school in the middle of nowhere that just had like 400 students.
Oh yeah.
And there was a neighboring school like 10 minutes away, but it was back in the day and nobody really had cell phones or social media. So you pretty much, it was intra-school, you know? If you had some game and you picked up some cheerleaders at an away game, you might be able to swing some stuff, but it was mostly home turf.
It's tough.
It's wild.
It's wild territory for sure.
Yeah, when I hear young cats bragging about their like their freaking hit list or whatever, how many girls they've been with or whatever, I'm like, bro, you don't know what it was like. You don't know what it was like
Different times.
to pick up girls without a cell phone,
Right.
without Facebook or Instagram. Like, good luck.
Yeah.
You gotta write.
Real life.
You gotta write them a note. You gotta.
Of course.
You gotta ask them what their phone, their family's phone number is.
Wow. Are you calling the landline?
You gotta call the landline.
It was that long ago, Church?
Well, bro,
Come on, dude.
bro, I'm not gonna bring up the year I was born, but you know, when I got a cell phone when I was 17 for the first time.
Okay.
Okay, but that was like the last week of high school as a senior. Okay.
Wow.
And so I had a bunch of friends that had cell phones earlier, but it was like these little Nokia brick phones, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
everyone didn't have a phone, so it wasn't like, oh, let me get your number and let's text. It was like, oh, I got a cell phone, so I'm gonna call your parents' house. So yeah, dude, I called this girl I was kind of dating when I was a senior. She was a sophomore, and I had to call her parents to like ask her to a dance or whatever.
Wow.
It was the Wild West.
So crazy time.
Yeah, dude, it was dark.
Wow. Tough.
Yeah, but you don't know what you're missing, right?
Right. But also, I will say, you're breaking the ice right away, I feel like.
Yeah.
Back in those days, I mean, you're calling the parents immediately.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, you're
wow.
getting in there, and you're not. There's not a lot of like fooling around with like, hey, like I got her number, like let me see how the texting goes. Let me see how
Right.
she responds. You just call.
Right.
You know, you get the number, you call the next day.
You're not reading into anything.
Nah.
It's a full send.
Yeah, and like she can't screen your calls either. She's like, you hear in the background like Karen's like Callie, Taylor's on the phone, and she's like, shit, like she's got to go, you know.
She has no choice.
Yeah, you don't get ghosted back in the day.
Dude.
Yeah.
What a time to be alive.
Yeah, dude. Like you give a girl a note and she doesn't give you a note back. Like that's the original ghost. That's hard.
No, gee.
Yeah.
Great.
Okay, so walk me through it. You're 16. You're young. You're handsome.
16, dude, I was a young little buck out there.
Yeah.
You know, a few of my boys already had the first kiss, so I was jealous, of
Sure,
course.
yeah.
You're a young male, you're eager.
Yeah.
But anyways, we ended up texting, figuring it out. My buddy had kissed her the week before, and I was like, look, this is my best chance. Like, let's just get this thing over with, right? We meet up.
Mm-hmm.
I make up something called the True Charger Night.
Okay.
Okay. And some schools do have these high school things where it's like you do become a true whatever
your mascot is.
Right.
Yeah.
Corner Cannon didn't have one. It was just whatever.
Yeah.
But at the time, I was like, let's just do it.
Yeah.
Called it True Charger Night. We hopped the fence on the field. I call my boys 30 minutes prior to go, hey, look, I'm getting my first kiss. I know you guys won't believe me if I do it. So come to the stadium.
Yeah.
Come to the stadium. They were in the stands.
You're scheming and plotting because you don't want your boys to not believe you.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
And you know what's tough about this is, you know, if this somehow gets back to the girl,
Yeah.
it's just tough because this will be the first time hearing about it. She
Yeah.
didn't know the boys were there.
Right.
She didn't know I was there.
But I mean, it's funny. It sounds conniving, but it's so innocent because really the boys, they just want to see their boy thrive.
Right.
Right.
It's nothing against anyone. It's just,
Yeah, and
you're
it's
looking
not.
out for your
It's
team.
not weird voyeuristic stuff. It's just these guys want to see their boy, catch a dub.
For sure.
Yeah.
First up.
Yeah, first
For
dub
that.
ever,
For
yeah.
that. Anyways, we hop the fence.
Mhm.
The boys are in the stands.
So you're like in the middle of the grass.
Yeah, we're walking in the middle of the grass.
Yeah.
Heart's beating out my chest.
Right.
As it should be.
Are you like holding hands or kind of
No.
brushing shoulders?
Brushing shoulders, messing around, kind of.
Yeah.
Flirting.
Do you know?
Cash.
Was she an experienced girl? Had she had some kisses?
She kissed one other guy.
Okay.
I think maybe two.
Okay.
Maybe two. Now this is where I feel bad,
Mhm.
and I'm gonna come off like I'm not a douchebag. I can promise you that.
Right.
But you know, you live and you learn.
Sure.
At the time, you know, like while we were about to kiss, before we were about to kiss, she's like, "How many guys have you kissed? How many?" Excuse my language. How many?
This just in. No, it's fine.
How many girls have you kissed? And I was like, I told her a few.
Yeah.
I lied to her.
Like, I can't hit her with 0.
I lied to her.
Yeah.
And I feel bad for that.
Well, the stakes were really high.
They were super high.
Like you can't. Gosh, if you had said 0, you might not have got your first kiss.
Right. I couldn't take that risk.
Yeah.
Anyways, we go in on the middle of the field, 50-yard line, and we do this thing. I don't even know what it was.
Do you sit down, or do you?
No, we were standing up.
Okay.
We were standing up.
You hit her with that vertical touch.
It was just tough.
Yeah.
Which is tough. I mean, I'm trying to think the last time I kissed a girl vertically.
Right.
Not.
Our boy's wild. Okay.
Sorry, Jeff. That's tough. But you know what I'm saying? It's a lot.
At least an incline.
Right. It's a lot easier kissing a girl when you're sitting down.
Right. And you're what, 6'2"?
6'2", 6'3".
Yeah.
So it just makes more sense.
Yeah.
Anyways, we go in, we peck.
Mm-hmm.
It's not great.
Sure, because it's just a peck.
Just a peck.
Yeah.
We end up going again.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? A little longer this time, like 6 seconds.
Yeah.
And I don't know what it was. It was terrible.
Right.
It was terrible. And I felt bad because I then asked her, I was like, hey, like, how many guys have you kissed?
Yeah.
And she was like 1 or 2. And I was like, I made her feel bad about herself. I felt this was a bad time in my life.
Yeah.
I'll admit it.
Yeah.
I've turned a page.
Right.
Anyways, we kissed again after I offered her some chapstick.
Yeah.
Just tough, but.
So you gave her heat for kissing 3 or 4 guys?
Well, I was expecting it to be better.
Oh, okay.
So it was like, oh, like you've only kissed like 1 or 2 dudes.
Yeah. What are you doing?
Yeah, like here, let's like try this again.
Right. That's terrific.
It was tough. Great girl though.
Right.
Great girl.
Right. Did you did you hit her with tongue, or was it?
No. At the time, I didn't know that was.
Right. You didn't know people.
I mean, I was a young buck, like I said.
Yeah.
So but times changed since then,
right.
for sure.
Yeah, you hit a girl with a horizontal kiss. You hit her with maybe a 7 or 8 seconder.
Right. You start working your way up.
Yeah.
The big leagues.
Wow, bro, that's beautiful.
Anyways, I really do feel bad now that I've talked about it for the first time in a while.
Well, if I opened up a lot of old stories, I'm sure I'd feel terrible too. But
it's necessary though.
Yeah, bro.
Yeah.
Bro, I remember my first kiss. I was talking to my boy, and he's like, because I had started dating this girl, right? But I was 14, and so our dating was like, let's say hi when you see each other at school, let's talk on the phone, whatever. But we had started dating a few days ago, and she was like, she had, you're good. She had been known to kiss many a man, right?
For experience.
Yeah, she was a young, experienced girl. And so my buddy's like, bro, like, we're going to this party tonight. Like, you're going to get your first kiss tonight.
Wow.
And I was like, and this was like first real kiss, because I'd had a few pecks before. Okay. But they were like truth or dare or whatever. Right. Not a lot of emotion involved. But so my buddy's like coaching me. We're just like, he's like, bro, here's what's going to happen. He's giving me all the dirty deets. And I'm like, okay, I can handle this. And then we're like watching a movie at this girl's house, and her parents are out of town. It's classic. Everything's primed, right? Yep. And then in the middle of the movie, she just takes my hand, doesn't say a word, and just stands up, and I'm like, we're going somewhere. like we're going to make out somewhere. And I was like, my heart's beating out of my chest, bro. I'm dying. But I'm like, I'm excited because she's hot. Right. And she was hot. And she was an early bloomer, if you know what I mean. Of course. She hit that bloom really early, and I was just beside myself. So she walks into the garage, and I'm like, there's no other reason we're in the garage, right? There's no way we're in the garage for any other reason. Dude, wow. That's so bold. It was crazy. And then she just kind of backs me up against a wall, and it just kind of starts leaning in. And so I lean back, because I'd been coached through this. I knew it was game time, but and for me it was great. Like I'm sure I was terrible, but because she was experienced, like she didn't hurt, she wasn't bad, and she didn't make me feel bad, and so it was like 10 out of 10 for me.
Dude, that's a great story. You also, I will say this. You know what you love to see? A girl taking charge.
Oh,
that is one of the most underrated things, I think.
It's so great because it's so like they have to do so little to like take charge.
Totally.
Right? They just have to make a few subtle movements.
Right.
And then we know like it's just basically giving us the green light.
Totally.
Where like it's so hard these days, like as a guy, the last thing you want to do is come off as creepy or pushy or aggressive. But also a girl wants like a confident guy.
For sure.
And so sometimes it gets a little murky. And so when a girl is just like, hey, like, this is what I want, you're like, okay.
Totally.
Thank you. Even not even just with the physical stuff. If a girl just sends you a text that's
100%.
like something so simple like, hey, you're so, I think you're so cute. Or like, hey, it'd be so fun if we hung out sometime. You're like, wow. Like, now I know what to do.
Totally. And even if it's not a positive reinforcement thing, even if it's not, it could be a negative thing as well. Where it's like, hey, I'm not interested. That's fine. Like, honestly, as long as you're like forward and like you make your like where you're at clear, great. Yeah. Like honestly, you know?
Yeah. And I always tell girls, because girls, like, when you're an attractive girl, like, the truth is you just have to reject guys a lot.
Right.
It just comes with the territory. As long as you, like, leave your house or have an internet presence, you're going to reject men consistently. And I think a lot of girls just hate it, and so they just end up ghosting most guys or just not responding to begin with. And I always say, like, listen, just saying something little, like putting them in the friend zone. Like if a guy asks you out and you just say like, yeah, we should all do something sometime. Just a little subtle, like, let's throw you in the friend zone. Like, it'll sting for a minute, but it's much better than just like making him think, oh, like I can't tell she's into it.
For sure.
But then 3 weeks later, she's ghosted you and you're like, man, I've been thinking about this girl for 3 weeks.
Yep.
Like just hit me with the friend zone early, or hit me with the like, I'm talking to somebody else right now. Because listen, when a girl says I'm talking to somebody right now, 9 out of 10 times I don't believe her. I just don't.
You're calling Cap.
I'm calling Cap, and I'm calling Kaepernick right there. And but it's fine. I'm like, okay, they don't want to go out with me. They have their reasons, whether they're telling me the truth or not. I don't really care. Yeah. Like, just tell me, just set me free.
Totally. It saves both parties a lot more time if you're actually straight up and forward about it.
Yeah.
So.
But dang man, that's a beautiful story.
Oh, it's great.
And shout out to your little brother for getting in there.
Oh, you have to shout out Buckets, dude.
I'd love to get Buckets on the show.
Oh, that'd be great. That'd be great. He's living his great. He'd be the best life right now, really.
Yeah, that's great.
So I mean, just started high school.
Yeah.
Playing basketball. Got his first kiss. Dude's on the run.
Bro.
Who's gonna stop him?
No, nobody's gonna stop him.
I don't know.
Do you remember the very first time we met?
Jeez, it had to be a spike ball.
Yeah.
Jeez, I don't know.
I think the first time we met you, we were playing pickup in West Jordan, and you'd come.
Really?
You'd come with some high school homies.
Is this Jagan?
I don't remember, but it wasn't. It's like not a homie that's around anymore that plays anymore.
Jagan. You have to remember Jagan.
I would remember what he looks like.
Dude, we're talking high school national champion. I mean, high school, like the high school West Regional or something like that.
No, but I remember that kid.
Oh, okay.
But it wasn't him.
Really?
Because it was at pickup. It might have been him. But, it might have been.
Interesting.
Because it wasn't that tournament that you're talking about.
Right. It wasn't that.
It was pickup.
I would have brought. I had to have been him.
It probably was.
And he probably thought I could beat you.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This wasn't in Riverton. Is it West Jordan?
Maybe it was Riverton.
For Sanford. I remember Sanford doing the Riverton stuff early there.
It might have been Riverton.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it was Riverton.
Yeah.
Yeah. I sometimes get those two cities mixed up.
Okay.
But,
look, I love the West Side.
Sure.
But once you go west, you're West Side.
Yeah, like.
I mean, you're not very far. I mean, Riverton's very. I mean, both are close. Yeah. But both.
A little Utah geography for the people.
Yeah.
What were some of your? I'm gonna get into what I thought, but what were some of your first impressions of me as you first like, whenever you remember first meeting me?
Jeez, that's a great question.
Because I'm just like, it's funny because it's kind of rare to have somebody my age be friends with a guy your age, right? But obviously Spikeball is a cool thing where the community is just kind of all together in a lot of ways, and a lot of people that would never be friends otherwise
Totally.
kind of link up. Same with any sports community or a lot of different communities, but yeah, it's cool. I have a lot of really young guy friends that I otherwise probably wouldn't, you know?
Right. I mean, I remember the first time it was, like you said, the Riverton thing, now that you bring it up. And then obviously just like the few times I met you after that.
Yeah.
I just thought it was the coolest thing ever that a number one guy in Utah was talking to me. Right. I mean, it was, and I'd bring my buddies. Yeah. They knew who you were because they see you on my Instagram or whatever it may be. And it was like, that's my boy. I hype you up because I should.
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
So
you get a little clout.
Oh, for sure, for sure. I was clout chasing early in the day.
Yeah.
But no, you were great. I would say you're, if not the best in the community with making people feel important and loved, no matter what skill level they're at.
Right.
Which is amazing.
Yeah.
So that's how I felt. That's how I'd say everyone in the community feels.
Cool, man. Thank you. Thank you. That means a lot. That's kind of, at the end of the day, what I care about more than anything.
Right.
It probably doesn't seem like that, like while I'm playing.
Oh well, yeah, you're a competitive guy.
Yeah, just because I'm competitive and I get a little pissy when I catch some L's, but yeah, I love the community, and I just love bringing different people together.
Right.
And seeing like, hey, listen, like, me and you are so different, but like, we're the same.
Right.
You know, like. We both want to win. We both love the game. Like, it's fun to find these unique commonalities where, like, a lot of times you're like your main crew, your homies. You like all like played basketball in high school together. Sure. You all chased the same girls. You all, did whatever. You dressed the same. You listen to the same music. So it's cool to get outside of your circle and find new people that you have these commonalities with.
Totally.
You know.
And also going along with that, talking about like your influence. I read a book. Okay, started to get more into reading. Yeah, it's called The Go-Giver. Have you read this book? Amazing book. It's a small business book, but it talks about how your worth is based off of how many people you're influencing, how many people you're impacting.
Kind of your social capital.
Right. Yeah. Right. And it was just super interesting because it was like it made me realize that as much as like money's great, a lot of these like materialistic things are great. But at the end of the day, how many people are you influencing for good? Right. You know? And it just really like opened my eyes.
Right.
You know?
And hopefully if you do things right, the more money you make, you can, parlay that into increasing your influence.
For sure.
For me, it's like, okay, I have this podcast, and if the podcast starts doing really well and taking off and I'm making lots of money from it, then all of a sudden the byproduct is I can influence more people. Right. And if it puts more cash in my pocket, I'm not mad. Right. But yeah, that's ultimately what really matters, and that's a cool realization to have at 19 years old.
Oh, and you have to have it. Yeah. It's crucial.
Yeah. Talk me through when you first found out you had cancer.
Jeez. 7 years ago. I was a young lad.
Yeah. So you were like 12 or 13.
Yeah, I think I was 11.
Okay.
It was in 2013.
Okay.
That's those the two. So I was 11 in 2013. 5th grade. I just remember having these terrible migraines, headaches. Yeah. I mean, excruciating. Yeah. Like, you'd be sitting in class and your head legit feels like it's gonna blow up. Right. Like, I'd be bent over, crying. Yeah. That was 5th grade.
Yeah. Real quick, I always wanna get this clear. I feel like so many people say the word migraine when they just have a bad headache.
Oh, of course.
And it's gotta piss you off.
Dude, here's the thing.
Like you'll hear somebody will be like, I kind of have a migraine, but like I'm down to hang for a little bit. And you're like, no. If you have a migraine, you're comatose. You're out for the count.
Right. You're going to bed.
Yeah. And like I've been lucky. I've never had a migraine, but my dad has them every once in a while.
Yeah.
My sister has them every once in a while, and they're out for the count.
Right.
They have to go into a dark room. They're like thrown up. They can't hear anything. They're just dead. My dad said the first time he got a migraine, he was like 17 or something, and he was working like out in this field, like picking strawberries, doing some random thing.
Yeah.
And it started coming along, and he's like, I didn't even tell anybody. I just went home because I was like, I am dying, and I can't
function.
No.
Yeah.
He's like, I don't care if I lose my job. I don't care about anything. I'm getting home. Okay,
so true though.
So you're in
it's
fifth,
so true.
Yeah, you're in 5th grade. Did you think you were dying?
Oh, I mean, I knew something was up.
Because you couldn't have just thought as a 5th grader, like, oh, this is a terrible headache.
Right.
You know?
And that was a tough thing. I'd go home and tell my parents this.
Yeah.
My teachers would say my parents. And my parents would just tell me that I was out of shape.
Yeah.
And I wasn't out of shape. I mean, I've been, like my metabolism is, like, it's I don't know what's going on with it. It's fast.
Yeah.
It's fast. I wasn't out of shape.
Right.
My parents, that's what they told me.
Your parents thought because you had a migraine in class, you're out of shape?
And I also had heart pain. I had some heart palpitations.
Okay, yeah.
So it was maybe a combination of bad eating or 5th grade eating, right?
Yeah.
With not working out, which I was working out. I just play basketball, right? The recess, classic.
Yeah.
Anyways, we go in for a well child check a few months later.
Yeah.
And my blood pressure's just through the roof.
Yeah.
If you know blood pressure, 160 over 110 is kind of where we were at.
Yeah.
And as a 5th grader, that's extremely high.
Right.
Luckily, my doctor diagnosed it on the spot, which is incredible.
So it was like stage 1?
At that point, it was stage 1. It was stage 1. It wasn't even cancer at that point, actually. So we go into the surgery. They take it out. It's in my adrenal gland. It's great. Take it out. Not a big deal. 2 years later, tumor spread. They take out 10 tumors. And this surgery was in Maryland.
Where are these tumors? Are they like all over?
So the second one was my kidneys.
Okay.
Mainly kidneys. Kidneys and kind of like your whole stomach area is just a mess.
Yeah.
And I've seen the picture. Like you see the pictures probably sometimes.
There's just a lot of crap in there.
Yeah, I don't know how they determine that, but they do.
Yeah.
So there's a few surrounded that kidney area, and then my third surgery. I mean, it's all over. We got like currently, I have tumors in my spine, my lungs, kidneys, abdominal area, high up on my spine, up here, kind of everywhere.
So what is it like with these tumors? Is it like you just have to monitor them because some will get bad and some will become benign?
I'm trying to. My voice just started there for a sec. Sorry about that.
That's good.
What I was saying was a good question, but so right now it's considered. So my cancer is called pheochromocytoma. So I'm in stage 4 pheochromocytoma, and the focus is on the big tumors. There's about 10 big tumors. I probably have tens and tens and tens of tumors throughout my body.
Yeah.
But the main ones are 2 in my spine, 2 in my kidney, 1 in my lung. Those are the ones we're watching because those are the most harmful. So the biggest side effect is high blood pressure. But that causes a lot of issues. It sounds like a simple thing. I've been on blood pressure medicine for 7 years.
Yeah.
So, but headaches, migraines, heat flashes, sweating, just feeling sick, tired a lot of the time.
You're kind of going through menopause.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. So it's just wild. It's wild.
Yeah.
So it's been an incredible journey, though, I will say.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I wouldn't change it for anything. I really wouldn't.
So is there are you just in a constant state of okay, we're currently chill, but things could get bad quick?
Yeah, I mean, right now I'm doing good. I just finished radiation. It was every 2 months, I think, or 3 months. Super chill, but it's kept the tumors at bay. So they're not growing, they're not shrinking. They're just kind of chilling. So
as the tumors currently are, if they don't grow, you could live forever. You're fine.
Unless something like a stroke or whatever the other ones are called.
Yeah.
Something like that were to happen, that I should be fine.
Yeah.
So, but it's the unknown, right?
So you're just constantly monitoring the tumors, basically.
Right, constantly. So and that's the great thing. So with a lot of cancers, it's you find it too late, you're done for.
Right.
Legit,
right.
6 months later, you're on your deathbed.
Yeah.
With mine, we found it early enough,
Mm-hmm.
and it's rare enough, and it's slow growing enough that we have a long time on our hands,
Mm-hmm.
unless something freak were to happen.
Yeah.
So the chance of the cancer killing me is years down the road.
Yeah.
But right now, I mean, things are looking good.
Yeah.
So, I mean, truly, I mean, no, I have tons of tumors in my body,
Yeah.
but they're not growing.
Right.
So if they start growing again, then we have issues.
Right. But there's no, I feel like you have such a good attitude about like, why on earth would I stress or worry about what I don't have to yet?
Right.
Yeah. Is that something you've had to like get to that point?
For sure.
Yeah.
I mean, even recently, I talked to my parents about this the
Mm-hmm.
other day. We have these conversations every once in a while, but just kind of talking about my future
Mm-hmm.
and, like what I want to do, school, work, like what's the plan?
Yeah.
Because like there's certain decisions like from my cancer life
Mm-hmm.
and like death that like play a part for sure. They just do.
Yeah.
Like I'm planning on living a long life,
Mm-hmm.
but also I want to enjoy life right now
Yeah.
as much as I can.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to do the things I don't enjoy
Yeah.
because it's just not smart. In my eyes,
Yeah.
it's like, let's go have fun. Let's go pick up to Germany and on 2 days notice.
Yeah.
Let's go do that.
Well, and you see the fragility of life, right?
Right.
So you feel like, I'm not going to waste my time doing stuff that doesn't make me happy.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. So it's just spending time on things I really love is what's important to me
Mm-hmm.
right now. So, I'm honestly, my biggest fear is it's not death. It's not that. It's, getting married, honestly, like
Mhm.
finding my person and like having that experience in life, because like, honestly, I think that's what's left.
Yeah.
Like really, I mean, it's like, and I'm a religious guy. I think getting in the married in the LDS temple would be great.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I just want to live life, have fun, enjoy it as much as I can.
Yeah. Do you get worried about like if you meet a new girl and you're like, okay, how do I like bring this up? Because it's like, in a lot of ways, it's not a big deal, but it
Right.
also is kind of a huge deal. Like,
Right.
how do you like deal with that?
Dude, it goes two ways.
Yeah, yeah.
Sometimes well, I have the handicap pass. It's an icebreaker.
Yeah. Have you wait, real quick? Have you seen the movie 50-50?
No.
You gotta watch this.
Do
movie.
I need to watch it?
You have to watch this movie because it's about this guy that has cancer, and he's like all sad, and he's like his is more like stage 4. He doesn't have much time to live,
Right.
and he's all sad, and his buddies are like, bro, let's use this to our advantage. Like, you tell a girl you got cancer, like
That's great.
you're gonna clean up.
That's great.
And then yeah, he goes and has a blast. I can't remember. I think it like has a nice,
Good.
nice message involved in it at the end. But anyways, yeah, girls kind of react one of two ways.
One of two ways. So the first one is going to be, it's almost like a turn on.
Yeah,
almost.
yeah.
It's almost like, wow, like this kid's going through cancer. He's doing something hard. He's like, I don't know what goes through their mind,
Right.
but somehow, in some way, it's like a catalyst, and it speeds the process
Right.
up fast.
Well, and you're not like no offense to anyone that is, but you're not like sickly looking, right?
No, right.
You don't, you're not going through chemotherapy.
Right.
You're like, you just look like a normal, healthy guy, athletic.
Right.
And so, yeah, when they hear that, they must think like, dang, this guy. It's weird. I would love to like talk to each girl and know like
It would be interesting.
really what they think.
It would be.
You wonder if it's like, man, like, I bet a lot of it's very subconscious. They just see a
Right.
guy that's like, man, he's obviously been through stuff, and he doesn't seem super phased by it, and that comes across as confident. And I don't know. It'd be interesting to know.
Yeah, no, it would be.
Yeah.
Kind of makes me want to go text him after this podcast and go, honestly, go catch up.
Yeah, feel free.
Figure out what's going on
Yeah,
there.
it might be a good chance to rekindle.
Oh, it could be.
Yeah.
It could be. Well said. But the other way, the other option, you have that. You have there's one. Here's two.
Mhm.
Two is they don't get it.
Yeah.
They can't wrap their heads around it. They don't believe it. They don't, like, honestly, like, I look, like you said, I look normal.
Right.
Where in reality, it's like every day, like most people, it's like 100% is where they're feeling.
Mhm.
Like, I'm used to this feeling like 60, 70% every day.
Yeah.
If I hit 70%, that's a good day.
Yeah.
But that's just how it goes. So a lot of them just don't get it.
Yeah.
I don't know how deep I can go into that. I don't know. I don't know what it is. It's really weird.
And it's hard to. I'm sure it's hard for people to get that like from the get go.
Right.
Like if it's the initial stages. Like I'm sure if you had a girlfriend, like eventually she'd get it.
Right.
Right. But it's hard, yeah, because it's just like it's almost like a chronic illness.
Right.
You know, like somebody that has like Lyme disease or something that's just like always fatigued or always going through something. It's hard to differentiate between like because it's all just internal. Like I said, it's not like you look really, really sick.
Right.
You're just like, listen, I'm just out of it today.
Right.
You know.
What I will say though, the biggest thing I've learned from it all would be, and it's a hot take.
Yeah.
It's a hot take. We can talk about this for hours probably, but the fact that I believe life is fair.
Yeah.
And it's a hot take. I don't know if I've mentioned this to you before.
You believe life is fair?
Life is fair.
Okay, I like this. Let's go on.
And here's where I come to my conclusion. You know, surface level, simply put, a broken arm for Justin may be a cancer for me.
Yeah.
Right? Or whatever it is, Lyme disease is everything equals out, and it creates different opportunity for you.
Yeah.
Like for me, it's like the cancer's created so many opportunities for me. Whereas like for someone else, like a broken arm creates different opportunities, creates new lessons that I didn't get to learn from the broken arm, but they did.
Yeah, yeah.
So you give and you take.
Yeah.
And same thing with like, okay, growing up in this is a hot take. Like I said, this is hot. You're growing up in a third world country.
Yeah.
Right? Obviously right off the bat you're not given the same opportunities that we are living in Utah.
Right.
Where we like they're just not the same.
Yeah.
But they're learning different lessons that we'll never get to learn.
Yeah.
And there's power in that. So that's my hot take.
Yeah. Yeah, and I like that, and it's not like there's no way to like correctly quantify what's equal.
Right.
But yeah, I feel like to any crappy thing you're going through, you can look at it a million ways, but really you can look at it in one or two ways. You can look at it as a blessing or a curse. Right. And for me, like, it's funny. This is, again, another first world problem. But for me, a lot of my pain and my struggle individually has been, man, I would have loved to have been married by now and had kids, right? I'm 34, and especially in our culture, in this specific demographic we're in, I'm like a lot older.
Right.
But I think I've had so many amazing experiences that I wouldn't have had I gotten married really young. And had I got married really young, it would have been wonderful. I would have had other blessings and other things. But I feel like I'm also somebody that single guys who are going through it, they can come to me and I can relate to them in a big way. Whereas, like, there's not a lot of examples of like normal guys in their 30s that are single that you want to get dating advice from, right? Because in our culture, not that, and this is a whole separate topic, whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, but in our culture, if you're in your 30s and you're single, you're probably a little weird. Yeah. You're probably a little bit of an outcast or have some social deficiencies, right? But I've, of course, there's been a lot of pain and a lot of loneliness and stuff I've had to deal with, but ultimately I think it's been a net positive. And I think it's really cool because even after I get married, when I'm older, I'm in my 50s and 60s, like I feel like I can relate to young people in a different way.
Totally.
And really, especially those guys that are struggling with dating and struggling with finding the right person and feeling accepted in a culture that is very, I don't know, there's not a lot of, there's so much sameness in our culture, right? There's so much like, you go on a mission, you come home, you get married at between 20 and 22. Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that, right? We all like cookies.
I love cookies.
But sometimes you want a weird pastry or croissant.
Of course.
And so
you're looking for a bear claw.
Right, you're looking for a bear claw. Maybe an Enclair.
Of course.
Right?
Those are great.
Yeah. So anyways, yeah,
well said.
I agree with you that It's funny. I've always said kind of the opposite, but my twist has been, like, life is unfair, but like, who cares?
Right.
Like, what difference does it make?
Right. And I think there's so many ways you can look at it.
Yeah.
Right.
But because to me, it's so silly and like fruitless to focus on how things are unfair.
Right.
Right. Because you can totally make that argument.
Right.
Right. Like, one person suffers needlessly all their life while the other person has it made in the shade. You know, it seems completely unfair. But I'm like, where did it ever say life would be fair? You know what I mean? It doesn't say that in any holy book.
Yep.
It doesn't say it in the Bible,
Yep.
in the Quran, in the Torah, in the Talmud. It doesn't say it anywhere.
Right.
And nobody really preaches that except for you. But I think if you focus on how things are unfair, you're just going to be unhappy.
It's true.
Right?
It's true.
Because to me, if they're unfair, well, of course. So who cares?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And but I do like that perspective that, you know what, like, ultimately at the end of the day, things are fair because we all have such vastly different experiences. You really can't compare them.
Totally.
You know?
And that's a great way. That's probably a lighter way to say it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like I can't imagine like having a lot of health issues because I've been really, really lucky. I've never really been injured. I've never really, been in the hospital, surgery, nothing. I've been very lucky. So I have a hard time imagining all of that, right? And I'm like, man, I don't know. Like, I feel like I struggle as a healthy person, you know? I struggle to get things done and be efficient and productive as a very, very healthy person. But a lot of people can't imagine what it would be like to be a 34-year-old single.
Totally. You give and you take.
Yeah.
It's the name of the game.
Yeah. And it's funny. It's so stupid to even like bring that up multiple times because it's like, so what? But my dad told me something. He said this to me a lot of times. It's been really helpful. He's like, there's no reason to like try and like minimize what you're going through just because it's not big compared to somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
it's like, if it's hard for you, it's hard for you.
Yeah.
And who cares if it's like light compared to somebody else.
Totally.
You know, like I don't like when people say like, oh, first world problems. I'm like, I'm in the first world. These are my problems.
Well said.
You know, and I don't have the ability to just go cure third world problems.
Right.
You know, if I did, like, if I was Elon Musk, I might not complain about first world problems.
Sure.
Because I could go, cure world hunger.
Of course. Of course.
But that's not easy either. You're just gonna give everybody $1 million.
Right.
But yeah, it's like your problems are your problems, and if it's the hardest thing you've ever gone through, that's your hell.
Totally.
Right? That's your crucible that you're going through, and so there's no reason to be like, yeah, but there are hungry people in Africa.
Right.
It's like, I know, but I'm not going through hunger right now. I'm going through cancer right now.
And you're not living in Africa.
Yeah, I don't live in Africa, bro.
Right.
Like, I got food. And I feel terrible for all these people in the world that are struggling way worse than me, but I gotta focus on myself.
Totally.
You know?
Totally.
Yeah.
And I think you make a good point. I mean, at the end of the day, it's what am I going through and how can I become better?
Yeah.
And that's what matters, whether that be any experience, whatever it is.
Yeah.
How can I become better?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. If you could give yourself, like 15, 16-year-old Ty some good advice, what would you tell him?
Jeez.
Because I feel like you're a pretty freaking sharp kid. You've been through a lot early, and it's really helped you like grow up fast,
Yeah.
right? So you're very mature for your age. But there's some things you just need time to learn. You just need experience to learn. What would you go back and be like, all right, bro, let me save you some heartache. Let me save you some pain and struggle and tell you this. Because hopefully the person you would listen to the most is future you.
Totally. Totally. Well said. I think the biggest one would be, and this is something I would say at 15, 16, I'd go back and say, I don't know, enjoy life, have fun.
Mm-hmm.
Don't be so worried about all these things.
Yeah.
Just go have fun.
Yeah.
Like, mess up, make mistakes. It's okay.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's probably the biggest thing I'd say. And also I would say don't waste your time either.
Yeah.
Like kind of going along with that, like I found myself when I was 15, 16, maybe wasting a lot of time with things or people that I shouldn't have been with. And I'd love to have 6 months back. I can't, but there's just so much, like time is the most valuable thing in the world.
Yeah.
Like not money, not anything else. It's time. Time is the most valuable thing.
Yeah.
So spending my time wisely would have been great.
Yeah.
Also, I've been reading, like I said, dude, go read some books.
Right.
I absolutely despised reading.
Yeah.
Absolutely hated it.
Yeah.
Reading's great.
Right.
I've learned more from reading in the past 3 months than I have in a long time.
Yeah. And it's crazy. I always, because I'm a big reader, and I always hear people say, they basically have 2 or 3 excuses. They say, I don't have time to read, or they say, like, I don't have the attention span to read, or the general, I just don't like to read, right? And I'm like, okay. It's funny because we're all reading all the time. We read, stuff on the internet all the time. We read people's long captions. We read these little BuzzFeed articles. We read nonstop. Right. But because of the way things are, our attention span has definitely shrunk. But to me, it's about finding out what you like to read. Because even me, I'm crazy about reading. But if you give me a fantasy novel, I'm gonna die. That's not my genre. It's not what I like. And so you got to figure out what you like to read, what makes you feel alive. Totally. And like for me, the reason I learn so much when I'm reading isn't necessarily because I'm just reading facts, right? But it's because I feel like I get to jump into somebody else's skin for 200 pages. Totally. And you get to read how they see the world, and I might not agree, but at least I can be like, okay, that's how one person sees things, and probably a lot of other people too, right? And I can just see that. I just feel like it gives you multiple lives in a weird way, right? And it's funny, people ask me about my own writing, and for me, like, especially with the fiction I've written, it feels like it's weird. Those things I wrote about that are completely fictitious, they feel like real things that happened to me in my life.
Interesting.
They feel like almost like real memories because I was in the trenches so long, thinking about it so much, and that's how it is, with the book you're reading. If it's 200-300 pages, it takes a decent amount of time to read that, and so you're in there very just focused and attentive for one thing, and I think that's so good nowadays.
So interesting.
Yeah.
That is very. I've experienced that with dreams before, where I'm not like legit. A few days later, I had this dream like a few nights back, and it was like, wait, was that real life or not? Like I can't remember because it felt so real. Yeah. Probably a similar thing. Yeah. Super interesting. One more thought that came to mind was, I don't know how religious we are on you are in your.
As much as we want to.
So here's what I would have said as well. Involve my Savior more. And even now, I still need to involve my Savior more. I'm trying to figure out the church, the LDS church, and I don't know. Do you have, what are your tips on that? How have you involved Christ in your life? Because I'm struggling. I am struggling. You're struggling with finding ways to involve him, or you're struggling just with your general belief? The motivation. I know it's true. Yeah. It makes sense, and even if it's not, I'm living a great life. So what? Right. So what? Totally. Yeah. So it's like you're doing good. Yeah. Cool. Yeah. And it's keeping me on a good track as well. Right. Yeah. So finding the motivation, the passion is where I'm at right now. Right. I think for me personally, and this has been something I've discovered much better over the past few years. And again, I wish it didn't take me so long. Right. And there are definitely lots of things I learned from my LDS mission that brought me much closer to Christ and brought me, and here's the thing, if you're not Christian, if you're not religious, it doesn't matter. It's like in AA when they talk about you have to have a higher power, right? And if that higher power is Jesus, or it's the cosmic universe, or if it's your
self, whatever it is, like you have to believe in something greater than yourself or you're gonna be miserable.
Totally.
You know? And so for me that is Christ, but again, it doesn't really matter. But for me in my journey and my belief system, it's been about how can I better my personal relationship with Christ? Because here's the thing. Not even, let me rephrase. It's not even about my relationship with Christ or with my maker. It's about coming closer to him because the relationship is already there. It's not based on reciprocity.
Sure.
Because no matter what I do, he's going to be there. And so I'm not trying to forge a relationship. I'm not trying to better a relationship like I would with a friend or a lover, because on one side, it's already completely, totally unconditional. So he's not trying to move any closer to me and me moving closer to him. He's right here already.
Yeah.
And I'm just trying to get closer.
Makes sense.
Right? And that's really hard sometimes, because a lot of times, it's weird and I feel bad saying this, but a lot of times just the idea of God and spiritual matters, they feel abstract,
Totally.
right? Because they're not tangible, they're not in my hands, and like my day-to-day life, it's very easy to go through and not involve that. But the more that I try to just come closer and try to realize like everything that I do is not really because of me. It's, it was an opportunity given to me. Even the things that I personally accomplish and do because of hard work and sweat, like that's not really me. That's
Right.
that's something higher. And even if it's a lot of me that did something, it's not about me. It's about a bigger picture. And so I don't know if that made any sense.
That's great. No, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
It's been something I've been trying to figure out really this whole semester.
Yeah.
Is how can I find the passion, the motivation, just like really enjoying the church and my relationship with my Savior and building that.
Yeah.
So.
And to me, have you watched The Chosen at all?
I've watched some of The Chosen. It's great.
So to me, it's weird. It's like it's just a series about Christ and kind of a detailed depiction of New Testament stories, right? But to me, it's been so inspiring, and I've looked at it like, okay, to me, because you can only like pray and read the Bible so much,
Yep.
Otherwise, you just you become a fanatic, you become a zealot
Right.
if you're just at home reading the scriptures 8 hours a day. And the time for that is really like as a missionary or
Totally.
whatever, right? Like you have to live your life. You have to go to school or work or try to date. So for me, the way I draw closer to Christ, the way I feel more holy, more spiritual, is by loving as many people as best I can, and always being, I don't want to say like being like a Christ like figure, but being somebody that everybody feels so comfortable coming to with their problems,
Totally.
with they need some help, they need somebody to talk to, they need a shoulder to cry on. I want to be that guy. And it's hard when you're living your life because you have so many selfish desires that don't involve other people.
Yeah.
It's like, so I try to reroute my focus a lot because my focus juts out and leaves all the time. So I try to reroute it as often as I can and say, okay, like, I know I have a lot on my plate. Like, I want to do these podcasts, I'm writing this book, and I'm trying to date, and I'm playing basketball, and I'm playing spike ball, and I'm traveling, and I'm working, and all this crap. But at the end of the day, I'm like, okay, how can I get more people to feel loved, to feel like I influence their life? And to me, it's like, usually the answer is not some grandiose, like, okay, let me start a nonprofit, or let me give back, or it's more like, let me text this buddy I've been
Finding the
about.
one.
Let me text this buddy I've been thinking about. Let me tell, some cashier that they were really sweet and really helpful, even though like I got my AirPods in and I'm thinking about 10 different things. You know, it's just stepping outside of myself for a minute. And to me, when you can spread that love as much as you can, you're just drawing closer to the Savior.
That's amazing.
And it's not about like super like spiritual per se things like, okay, let me study the scripture and get really deep into it. Let me listen to these talks. Let me go do service. It's like, no, let me just love people. Let me love people and let other people see that, listen, no matter what happens, my love for you is unconditional. And that's a really hard thing because a lot of people suck and they're annoying. They're annoying. They get under your skin. But I'm like, man, how can I let that stuff slide and just be there and be a homie, you know?
That's great.
Because
there's nothing better.
Jesus is the ultimate homie, you know? And so that's, I don't know how helpful that is, but that's
beautiful.
my advice.
That's beautiful. That answered it fantastically. Really.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Thought I had coming into this is, what is a rule that you live by?
A rule?
Like a day to day, it's like what do you like? Is there just like an overarching like rule or goal that you're working towards, or like something you live by, or you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It's hard because I try to have like a lot of those kind of, right? And a lot of them fall by the wayside. One thing I've been trying to do is I have this journal where it's basically like an agenda / to-do list, but I also added at the bottom every day. I have just listed like just good things that happened, right? Whether they happened to me or whether I helped, perpetuate them for somebody else. And then I have new things did. So basically, I want to do new things every day because I really have a problem with monotony and getting in a rut. And some people love routine and love doing the same thing every day, but that will drive me insane. And so I try to do, even if they're really small, like I went to this new restaurant today, right? Or like, I've never, like, I have this buddy, like we text from time to time, but I've never called him, right? Just really small things that are new.
That's great.
And they're like tiny victories, right?
That's amazing.
I try to like, because sometimes we're so focused on getting these big W's.
Totally.
Like I had big goals for my podcast.
Of course.
I had big goals for my writing. And I'm always trying to inch towards those goals. But in the meantime, I'm like, man, I got to focus on how can I get some little wins along the way. So that's for me, because I also struggle with, just being happy all the time, right?
Yeah.
And I'm not depressed or anything, but a lot of little things kind of like knock me off and I feel down for a few hours. And I know a lot of people feel down like all the time, right? But to me, I've got to find some silver lining in everything.
Totally.
And so for me, like, what happened the other day, I can't remember what happened, but I went somewhere, it was like an hour away, and I get there, and whatever we were doing was like canceled. It like didn't work out. And I was like, you know what? This is awesome because there was this podcast I really wanted to listen to, and I like just haven't had the time.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna listen to it on the way home.
It's a great way to look at it.
And you know what? There's this little taco shop on the way that I've never been to. And so to me, instead of being like, dude, tonight was a bust, I'm just like, this was awesome. I got I tried these tacos I wanted to try. I listened to the podcast. I had a great night.
Yeah. It's great.
And of course, I don't always have that good attitude.
Of course.
Sometimes you're just pissed off.
And you have to be. It's part of life.
Yeah.
You're going to be sad every once in a while.
Right. But yeah, to me, like, if I don't look for lots of little wins along the way, I get myopic and I can only see like, oh, I'm just losing.
Right.
Because I haven't hit my big goals yet, so I'm just losing,
Totally. That's beautiful. It's great. It's kind of been the whole topic of like what we've been talking about. Mm-hmm. It's like finding the silver lining in your day-to-day things.
Right.
Especially the small victories. I think it's great.
Yeah.
I will say for me, this has been something that I've been struggling with is my patience.
Yeah.
And I'm living with 5 roommates, all randoms.
Yeah.
All mission buddies.
Yeah.
Okay. amazing.
So they're all mission buddies.
Yes.
And you're the
They all
outsider.
speak French.
Okay. Yeah.
Which is fun. It's
Yeah.
great. For a second, I was going to learn French, and then I realized it took way too much time.
Right.
But they're great dudes. They really are. But the one thing they don't do is they don't do their dishes.
Yeah.
And it drives me through a wall.
Yeah.
It really does.
Uh-huh.
And it's not like it's like one guy not doing his dishes. It's all five
Yeah.
not doing their dishes. At least I think.
Yeah.
You know, I see things and whatever, but it's brutal.
Right.
It's brutal. And so the rule I always live by is the 30-10. It's like 30 extra seconds or 10 extra steps. So like whether that be cleaning your dish, takes 30 seconds. Just clean your dish. Or putting up a jacket, put up your jacket. When you take out your clothes off at night, like go hang them up.
Sure.
Like,
yeah.
Anyways, so that's the thing I've been living by, especially during college, because it saves you a long time in the long run.
Yeah.
And once again, small victories. Making your bed in the morning, it's the greatest thing ever.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
It's a small victory. You come home to a made bed, you're happy.
Yeah.
If your day was crappy, at least you came home to a made bed.
At least you got something.
Yeah, the candle just went out. I don't know what's going on there.
That's kind of tough.
A little smoky.
Jeez Louise. Oh well, smells nice.
Little hot box show.
Yeah. We got a Joe Rogan episode here with Post Malone.
Anyways.
Yeah. So how do you deal with that? Just feeling like, because you don't want to just resent people around you all the time,
Right?
Because then you just feel crappy.
Totally.
So how do you avoid that just feeling of resentment? Because it sounds like even if you have a conversation, they're probably just gonna always be dirty dishes.
Right. I mean, and we've had the conversation.
Yeah.
You know, we've had it in person. We've had it over text.
Sure.
We have a
Ongoing.
Yeah, it's an ongoing thing.
Yeah.
So it's just tough. So here what I mean, I'll run you through my situation every time. Dishes are in the sink.
Yeah.
It's a mess. I just made myself some eggs, some nice little breakfast burrito action.
Yeah.
Nothing better. You know, simply you just move the dishes onto the counter, clean your dish, put the dishes back.
Yeah.
And the reason why you don't do the dishes is because once you do the dishes, they're going to leave them in there every time.
Yeah.
And then they're really not going anywhere because they're expecting you to do their dishes every time.
Yeah.
So you can't do the dishes.
Yeah.
Or else this creates bad habits for everyone.
Right. Yeah.
So, anyways.
That's tricky business.
That's the first world problem if we're talking about.
Right. I mean, yeah, if this was the number one problem in your life, I'd say, cool, move out.
And they really are great guys.
Yeah.
They're really, I've been blessed. And they're 5 random dudes.
Yeah. The bottom line is living in a house with 6 guys is tough.
Right.
Like,
there's going to be things all the time.
Guys are just so inherently messy and gross, right?
Right.
And it sounds like you're a pretty neat guy.
I just have to be.
Yeah.
It's my nature. I don't know what it is.
That's great.
And you are too. I mean, look at this thing, dude. This room is amazing.
Yeah, I like to keep it tidy, but I definitely I'm not great with I don't eat a ton in my kitchen, so it's never a big issue. But for some reason, this is just my holy space.
This is it.
And I have a large space, so I want to keep it clean. And I work down here, so I want to feel productive when I'm down here.
Totally.
But I'm less vigilant in the living room and stuff. I'll throw my clothes around and stuff. But dude, when I was in college, I lived with 3 of my best friends, and we were all pretty just messy, didn't really care.
Right.
And it was awesome because nobody got mad at each other, but it turned into just an absolute dump.
Dude, that would drive me insane.
Right. And it works because we were all
you guys were all
chill.
similar. Right.
But dude, it got so bad one time. We're just in our young 20s, and we're stupid and we're careless, and we're
having fun,
and we're just trying to get girls over and trying to just have as much fun as possible. And I remember somebody forgot to pay the utility bill, and I remember our solution was, oh, well, chill, it's summer, we're fine, and there's an outlet right outside of our door because we're on the second floor, like in the hallway, there's an outlet.
Yeah.
We'll just put an extension cord in here, get some lights in here, and we're fine. Like,
Oh, it's great.
we don't need to pay our utility bill. And so we lived like that for like...
Oh, and it worked?
It worked.
Wow.
Yeah, because it wasn't connected to our unit, the outlet.
But you guys ran that for weeks?
For weeks.
Dude, that is one of the most genius things I've ever heard.
It was so funny because we'd have like girls come over and they're like, what is going on?
You got extension cords running out throughout the whole
We
house.
have extension cords everywhere. We got like lamps in every room and everything.
Oh, that's
and,
good.
And we just like ate out, so we didn't care about the fridge, you know.
Oh, wow.
And it was just a den of just gross bachelor
Alphas.
Yeah, 3 freaking alphas. One of them just sleeping on the floor. But it was so funny. My buddy, I remember he actually got engaged in that period of time, and I'm still really tight with him and his wife. And his wife would be like, I don't know how I said yes to you in those conditions. But we're just like, we were just so carefree. We're like, who cares? Like, we got an extension cord. We're chilling.
That's the greatest thing I've ever heard. And I love it. You're saving a few bucks.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's amazing, dude.
Yeah. So,
Wow.
It's funny. I'll tell girls that story every once in a while, and girls do not have the same reaction. They think it's the worst thing we could have ever done.
See, I will say, a part of me is like, look, I could do it.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe for a week. Maybe.
Yeah.
The extension cord's genius. Genius.
Right.
I would do that for sure. For sure. The messiness.
Yeah.
If everyone's on board and you don't have anyone coming over,
yeah,
a week.
Sure.
And then that's it.
Yeah.
And then that place is getting tidied up fast.
Right. Yeah. And we just didn't have anybody there that cared enough to be like, and every once in a while we'd do a haul and just clean everything.
For sure.
You know, but anyways.
Nice little cleaning shack.
Yeah. The funny part is our, you know how we talked about there's just nothing like a boys trip. It's so funny when you're at college and you're living with your like best friends. It's just a freaking sleepover every night.
Every night.
And I remember our buddy moved in, and he didn't have a bed yet, and just didn't care enough to go buy one.
Yeah.
And so he would come sleep on my floor every night.
Really?
And we would just like, because we would end up like watching The Office, or we'd be talking.
Amazing. And
he had like some like pillows and crap set up in his room, like a ghetto little makeshift bed. But he would just crash in my room every night because we just had pillow talk.
Dude, there's nothing better than some pillow talk, my boy.
Yeah.
There really isn't.
Right.
Especially when you're in the heat of things.
Yeah.
I mean, wow.
Yeah.
I miss pillow talk.
Yeah. There's nothing like, I don't know, it's the end of the night and you're just, I don't know, something about...
You're a little out of it.
Yeah, your walls
you're
are down
more
a
open.
bit.
Yeah.
It's like I always talk about when you get in a hot tub with the boys, suddenly you just talk about everything.
Right.
It's that hot water, it's the fumes, I don't know.
Right.
Yeah.
Especially if it's not to get, PG-13.
Mm-hmm.
When it's a naked hot tub.
Sure.
You hit the local gym.
Yeah.
I mean, geez, now your walls are really down.
Yeah.
And you're really open. You're vulnerable.
Yeah, your pants are down, your walls are down.
Everything's down.
Yeah. That's great.
Okay, also, I have to say.
Yeah.
Have you been working out? I
have been working out. Does it show?
The bicep. I see some more definition of the bicep.
Yes. We can stop the show. No, dude, I joined the gym like 3 weeks ago.
Vasa?
Yeah.
What one?
I just go to the one on 1600 here.
In Orem?
Yeah.
So close.
Yeah.
The one that's off University.
Uh-huh.
The big one?
No. I go to that sometimes if I'm like over there, but the one, it's almost in Linden.
Okay.
It's a little smaller one. But actually it's probably been more like a month I started, but it's funny because I have never lifted weights as an adult male. And I was just like, you know what, I want to get in better shape. I want to look a little bit better.
Sure.
Doesn't hurt with sports and stuff, and I've always been like, oh, it's just so hard for me to put on weight because I'm just like you,
Yeah,
got a wild metabolism, tall, lanky boy, but I put on 8 pounds.
Really?
Yeah.
What are you eating?
Creatine.
Are you doing creatine?
Yeah.
Really? And you've seen results?
Yeah. It's not like, I'm surprised you noticed, like nobody notices, but you probably, as a fellow skinny man, you noticed a tiny little difference.
Hey, and look, dude, I'm putting on weight too, dude.
Yeah.
Don't be too quick to call it skinny. Come on, my guy.
No, dude, you're that thick skinny. You know?
I'm just playing.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, they look great.
Thank you.
They look great.
Yeah, it's funny because I just have these micro improvements because I'm just so naturally wiry, you know. But I'll tell you what, it's fun to like just see yourself improve.
Oh, for sure.
You know, like,
for sure.
I don't really care about. I'm never gonna be a super muscular dude. I'm never gonna like go crazy and eat nothing but chicken and broccoli all day. But yeah, it's fun to see yourself kind of push the limits and improve incrementally. You know,
For sure.
It's weird how like one sphere of your life will like give you momentum for other parts of your life. You know, like
Totally.
I'm working out every day. It makes me want to like write every day.
Totally.
You know, and you think the two aren't connected, but just anytime you're doing good things, it just gives you momentum.
Yeah, the small victories push you forward.
Yeah, they
For
really
sure.
do. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's why I'm a big routine guy.
Mhm.
It's like I want to be more, especially in 2022. But like I've been hitting the gym more.
Yeah.
Vasa classic.
Yeah.
But it's great.
Yeah.
It really does. It's just like all these small victories are great.
Yeah.
Making your bed, then going to the gym. Those two things all of a sudden make your day way more productive, and you want to do more productive things.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's how it is.
Yeah. Yeah. It's weird when you're. Obviously, it's the opposite. When you're having a super lazy day, you're like, well, I don't feel like doing anything.
Right.
And you're like, well, what's the point? I've already done nothing today.
Yeah. Yeah.
I might as well lose the farm and just watch another show. You know. But yeah, when you're being hyper productive, you're like, okay, what can I do next?
Totally.
You know, like what can I do? So
You hit the runner's high almost.
Yeah.
It's a great high to hit.
That's cool, man. Anything else, bro?
Dude, I don't know.
What do you think? If you just had one question for me, if you were the podcast host, what would you ask?
Jeez. My first question that came to mind is what makes you tick.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like you kind of answered that a little bit.
Well, I guess I would just need you to be a little more specific. What do you mean by tick?
What gives you purpose? Mm-hmm. What makes you want to live each day? What makes you want to be the best person you can be? That kind of thing. Yeah. You know, but I feel like we found an answer to that. What did you say?
Yeah, I'll add one thing that I think about a lot that maybe sounds a little morbid, but I often think about like how are people going to remember me after I die?
Interesting.
Right? Because it's not in a morbid way, but it's like I sometimes think about like, okay, if I did die tomorrow, like what would be the reaction, you know? Because, you know, you see like when celebrities die or something,
totally.
The internet,
Virgil.
The internet blows up and everyone's posting great things about them and great stories about them. And I'm like, well, how many stories do people have about me? Like, especially people that don't know me super well, be like, okay, what's been my, because anytime you know somebody that dies, you're like, what was my experience with them? What was my relationship with them?
Yeah.
And so I want to be like, and obviously there'll be some people that don't give a rip, right? Some people that don't like you, that's fine. But for the people that know me, I want them to be like, oh, I got a Taylor Church story.
Totally.
You know, I want to look at my phone and I got cool, meaningful texts from Taylor Church. You know, I've got memories of Taylor Church. And so, I don't know, I think about that a lot. And it's weird because it's not like I'm dying, but I want a good legacy, I guess.
Totally.
Yeah.
That's actually beautiful.
Thanks.
That was beautiful. I like that a lot. Wow. Yeah. Anything? I mean, trying to think of anything for me. Any last question?
How do you consistently, like, when a large percentage of your life you kind of feel like crap, how do you consistently just decide to be happy or just be happy or be or present yourself as such?
Interesting. It's kind of a deep question a little bit.
Yeah.
Kind of going along with some other things we've said is that I've been sad.
Mm-hmm.
I've had pity parties.
Yeah.
What we call them pity parties in my family. And pity parties are great.
Mm-hmm.
They really are.
For a minute. Yeah.
Right. Those are short periods of time, and I just find like we're here on Earth to be happy, to have fun, to like enjoy our life, figure things out, and like when you're sad and down in the dumps, and like you're wasting your time.
Yeah.
You really are. Like you only have so much time on this earth.
Mm-hmm.
So like let's make the best of it.
Yeah.
You know? So forcing yourself to be happy, I wouldn't say is the move.
Yeah.
But doing things that make you happy is great.
Right.
Like pretending to be happy, I'm not a fan of.
Yeah.
Like if you're having a bad day, have a bad day.
Sure.
Like it's great.
Yeah.
That will help you push you forward. It really will.
Right. But don't sit in it longer than you have to.
Totally.
You know, because I totally agree. It's like there's nothing wrong with being sad, lonely, depressed, pissed off. Like any emotion, right? You should feel it. You should like almost embrace it.
Totally.
Right. But and even like sometimes you don't have the ability to get out of that for a few days or a few weeks, or you know, maybe you're going through something crazy and it takes months to get out of.
Right.
But throughout that, you've got to do things that make you happy.
Right.
And that happy might only last for 20 minutes or a couple hours or a day, right? But that's what's gonna get you out of it eventually.
That's so well said. Also, I have to say before we end this, the way you manipulate your words, it's incredible.
Thank you.
It is incredible. It's always something I've been very impressed with. I don't know how you do it. Well, I mean, you read a lot. I'm sure that has something to do with it, but it's impressive.
Thank you, Matt. I appreciate it.
Sometimes I feel like I can't get all my thoughts out with like a lot of things. I'm like, I have so much to say, but I don't know how to say it.
Yeah.
The way you just present yourself and the way you speak, it's great.
Thanks, man.
It's great.
Also, like, I definitely didn't do it this way or this well at your age. Like, I've just been talking a lot for a lot of years. And I always tell people, like, don't get it misconstrued. I am not very intelligent. I just read a lot and I observe a lot and I care a lot about trying to absorb information. But like, I could throw a dart and hit somebody that's smarter than me. Like, it's not about intellect. It's about wanting to learn and wanting to just see the world in different ways.
Totally.
You know,
that's a great trait to have.
Yeah.
Learning to be a follower is amazing.
Yeah.
Like not being so caught up in like I'm the guy, I want to lead.
Yeah.
It's like no, I have so much to learn.
Right.
It's great.
Awesome.
Cool.
My guy. Thank you so much.
Church. It's been amazing.
We did.
Also, you mentioned your name was Taylor Church several times. and
like,
I forget that your name's Taylor.
You're like, who's that?
I'm gonna say it.
Is that your dad? Yeah, it's funny. Sometimes I will like introduce myself like, oh hi, I'm Taylor, and whoever I'm with is like, oh right. Yeah.
That's great.
It's funny because I have friend groups where everyone just calls me Church,